Hi, Helena.
Hi, Anan.
So today my guest is Helena Ramalhinho Dias Lourenço. She's a full professor at the Universitat Pompeu Fabra in Barcelona, Spain. She works with OR, business analytics, combinatorial optimization, Metaheuristics, applied to problems arising in scheduling, logistics, healthcare. She's best known for her work describing the Metaheuristic Iterated Local Search. She actually wrote a book chapter with two other authors that appeared in the Handbook of Metaheuristics. It's a very famous reference. I myself have cited that work dozens of times. So, Helena, I'm very happy to have you here. It's such an honor. Muito obrigado. Thank you very much for accepting the invitation. How are you? Tudo bem?
Tudo bem. My pleasure. It's my pleasure. So thank you very much for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here with you tonight for me, mid-afternoon for you.
Great. So I noticed that you're studying in Lisbon, but were you born there?
No, I was born in a small town in the middle of Portugal called Castelo Branco. And I was born there, and then I decided to go to Lisbon to study applied mathematics, what it turns out to be then a degree in statistics and operations research. My city is not so big, but it's a very beautiful city. It's 50 kilometers away from Spain, so we are very close to the Spanish border.
Right. There's actually an area in my town called Castelo Branco, and it's where our university, the main campus, is located. Yeah. And also it was the name of a president. Actually, it was named after a president, Castelo Branco. So you grew up there, or you moved when you were young to Lisbon?
No, I grew up in Castelo Branco. I was born there. I grew up there. I did all my primary school and high school. So my parents are there. I have two other sisters. So we live there. My mom is still living there, and one of my sisters. And then I moved to Lisbon to study. At that time, it was more common for people from the city to go to Coimbra University, which is a very good university too. But since I like very much to travel in train, not too much to travel by car or by bus, so Lisbon, it was a little bit far away, but you can travel by train. So I decided to go to the University of Lisbon and to study mathematics there. I like big cities in reality.
Okay. Okay. Your interest in maths, it was from young age, or you developed later, or did you have any specific or motivation for studying maths?
I was always a very good student, so I like science more in general. So at a certain time, I would like to study chemical engineer. So I thought, then I moved to, I'd like to study architecture. And so then I didn't know what to do. So it's like a typical decision that we have to take, like in the last year of high school. And I was moving every day. I came out with a new degree I wanted to study. Finally, my father is a friend who was a psychologist, and he said, "Oh, she come and do some tests here? I can do some tests." And this person told me that, "Oh, you are very good at maths. Why you don't study math?" And I said, "Well, I like math a lot, but I don't want to become a high school professor," which is the only thing I knew about mathematics, and it was the only profession I knew. So you study maths, you become a high school teacher, which I think it's a great idea to have good maths teachers at high school, but I didn't like that idea very much. Then it came out with this new degree in the University of Lisbon, which is applied mathematics. And was a mathematics applied to the real life, to the businesses. I said, "Oh, that looks very fun. That's really, really great." So then I decided, my parents took me to Lisbon to talk with the people there and try to find out about this new degree, because it was a completely new degree. And I immediately knew that was what I wanted to study, was apply mathematics to help people, to help the society, to organizations. So that's how I come out to decide to go to this degree.
All right. So you had complete support from your parents to pursue that career. That's very nice.
Yeah. In reality, yes, my parents were very supportive. Both of my parents, they could not attend university, which is Portugal. That region it's like a poor region in Portugal at that time. So my parents could not attend the university, and my father always wanted to go to university, could not go. And so we motivate all the three girls to go to the university, which was quite not very common at that time, that you have a parent that push the girls to go to university. And all the three of us went to university. My younger sister is electrical engineer. My older sister is a professor of nurses in a nurse school. So it was very interesting because he only wants to go to university. My mother is also a very intelligent woman, and they always have to support me. I think I could do bad things. My parents will never say anything, but if I don't study, I think they will be very upset with me.
Yeah, that's
so
nice.
I have all the support from them, yes.
Yeah, and do you think that made a lot of difference in long term?
Definitely make a long difference. Special thing about this is a long time ago in Portugal, which is a very close society at that time, and you have these women, these girls, like three girls, that the parents really pushed them to go to university. That was not what we expect for women in the small city in Portugal. I mean, we were expecting, okay, you can study, but expecting to marry, have kids. That was the main objective. So I think the support of my parents, and they really willing that we go to university. Also, it was very important for us. It make us much stronger and more independent. My mom always say, you need to be independent. You have to be your own work, your own profession, your own life, and then you can share this wherever you want. But that's really make a big difference. I do remember when I graduate. So in Portugal, when you graduate from university, you have this big party where they have like a Festa das Fitas, where you have like a small thing that you write things and you go everyone. It's a very nice party. I think that my parents were more happy than me because I was the first one on the family to finish a degree in university. So I think they were really really happy that I think they make their dreams realize that day too, not only mine.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, did you start studying OR during the undergrad, or you only started studying formally on masters? Do you have any memories of that?
Yeah, so I do remember very well. Yeah. So remember, I chose this degree where at that moment the name was Applied Mathematics, right? And the first semester at the University of Lisbon. So you see, you come like a young girl from a small town, goes to Lisbon, which is the big town, a lot of people. I remember I took several courses, and I remember my first exam, I have a very low grade. So I remember to call my mom and say, no, the good grades are finished. So no more good grades, right? And so I said, just in case, I get prepared that I'm not anymore like the top student I used to be in the small town. Now I have a lot of colleagues here, which are very good students too. But then I took operation research, and I remember very well. It was the Professor José Pinto Paixão, which was the professor of that. And I really liked that course a lot. I really liked that course, and I got a very good grade on the course. So the first grade that I got on university, I think it was computer science or theoretical computer science, something like that. And then the second one was a very good one. So I said, no, I should be good on this because, I got a good grade, while the other one I didn't get so good grade. So I really like that topic. And I think I do remember him. I really appreciate all he have done, that he always supports me and always motivates me a lot to go to this operation research. Of course, then the grades were improving a little bit, so I didn't have such a best. I think that was the first grade was the worst I have in the undergrad. But then they improved because you get used more to the system and you adapt better. But I do remember that at that time I said I like that topic a lot. So then I started. So we have a lot of courses in operation research and graph theory, optimization, mathematical program in the undergrad. So I really like that topic on my undergrad, and then I decided to do the master and specialize in this topic too, in operation research.
I see. I don't want to give away your age, but we're talking about mid-80s. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, by 80 somethings, yes.
Okay.
Maybe I don't even remember anymore. So it was 82, 83 was when I went to the university.
Did you take any coding classes at the time too?
Yes, we did take coding courses. We learned Pascal. That's what we learned at that time. So we learned Pascal. Yes, we did some coding courses. So then this degree called Mathematica Applied Mathematics, and they divided in three areas. One it was statistics and operation research, statistics and probability, and computer science. So I ended up graduating in statistics and operation research. So it was like my specialization was operations research. After that, then since I was a very good student there, so I ended up being a good student. I'm starting so bad, but I ended up being good. So they asked me, why don't you do a master's degree? At that time, it was not so common that people do master's degree. So I thought about going to work in a business or doing a master's degree. And they also offered me to be a research assistant and teacher assistant at university. So I said, okay, I do the master's degree here. But that year was very important because I decided that probably I wanted to do this. I wanted to do a PhD. And the most common in Portugal at that time was to go to Europe, especially UK, to do a PhD. So most of the people in this area went to UK or to even Belgium, France to do a PhD. But I have family in the United States, and I said, okay, why not, just go to the United States? So I applied to a scholarship to go to the United States, and Portugal is a very good. There's some scholarships, very good scholarships to study in the United States. So I got one of that scholarships, and in reality, I just finished the master that I started in Lisbon later on, because the master has 1 year of courses and 1 year of a thesis. So there was 2 years. So when I did the courses, after the end of the courses, I went to the United States. So I ended up to finish the thesis later on. So in reality, I have 2 masters, because in Cornell, the first years you have to do courses, and they give you the master title after you do the courses. So I have the title of masters from Cornell, which is part of the PhD, and the title of masters from Lisbon. And so that was something that was come as natural, right? So it was like something natural to do this research career.
So you ended up doing the courses from the PhD and doing the master's dissertation at the same time? In master's dissertation from the program in Lisbon, I'm saying.
More or less. I mean, I think I did the master dissertation, if I remember correctly, that summer when there was no courses, and then I finished them by Christmas or something like that. So I did to work a little bit, but I had some done already from Lisbon. So it was just like, the one thing is that you should done it in 6-7 months, and it took me a little bit more time because I decided to go to the United States, because at that time you could enter the PhD program without doing a master. The thing is that you have to do courses, and then after the courses you get the master title, like less part of they call the B exam. At the time they was called the B exam. So when you do this B exam, they immediately give you a master title. So things are changing a little bit.
So it was without internet. How did you manage to keep in touch with your advisor in Lisbon?
I think every time I come on summer, summer, Christmas, I met with him. That's true. It was not internet. I remember to select university, have these Peterson books that you have at the embassy, and you have these enormous books about all the universities, and you have to write letters and read the letters. So it's really, looking back, it looks like so many years ago, and without internet. Internet appears quite later. Like already when I was in Cornell, we started using email already more frequently.
Yeah, Cornell is a great and very famous university. Did you have the chance to pick that particular university, or you had other options in hand?
I have all the options. Of course, you look for other options like, I don't know, MIT, Stanford. Of course, I wanted the East Coast or the West Coast. So I'm pretty clear that I want to go in the East Coast or West Coast. and I write, and I did a very silly mistake when I applied to some of these universities. So in Portugal, you could have the grades on the undergrad degree go from 0 to 20. Okay, so the best is 20 and 0 is, and you fail if you have less than 10. So if you have 9, you fail, right? But sometimes I was like the best student on the class, so I have to get the best grade, but I have a 12. Okay, so your grade is 12. So no one got a 12 in the last three years. So it's like something like this. So professors don't make the curve, don't have this A, B, C. Of course, when I applied to study for MIT, I didn't know that. So I put, okay, so a 12, so you do a rule, and the 12 is a C, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
of course, you cannot apply to these universities with C's or B's, right?
Definitely.
So then later, I met one of my teachers, English teachers. He said, "What are you doing? You're crazy. That's not what you're supposed to do." So she helped me to write a letter, explain that, and I had someone sign at university saying that that they could give like I was really above the average and blah blah blah. So I think then for the other universities that I apply, it makes more sense, my applications, right? Also, then after in Cornell, they told me that this mistake was quite common for several people in Europe. So they knew about this. So they look more on the GRE exam or the letter of motivation or something like that. So of course, then I ended up being accepted in Cornell and some others, which I don't remember anymore, in the middle of the United States. So I said that, so I didn't have any problem. So it was Cornell, right? So it's like it's East Coast. So I didn't have any problem. So I have only one that I wanted to enter. I didn't know much about Cornell. I just knew there was a very good operations research department.
Yeah, so if you're in the East Coast, that is also closer to your hometown, right? So maybe
yeah, it's closer to my hometown because you could travel to New York and in 6 hours, 5, sometimes even 5. You could be in Lisbon, and also I have family in Boston. So I have family from my mother's side. I have an uncle and cousins in Boston. So it was kind of nice. I didn't know it was so cold. That definitely I didn't know, because the first winter I suffered a lot. I mean, I never have it was minus 20 Celsius degrees. So that was kind of. But the second winter I was already adapted, so I could. And then you learn how to dress or what kind of clothes. You learn a lot. So, and Cornell is very beautiful. It's a very, very beautiful campus. So it's a lot of. It's in a hill with a lot of nice views to the lake. It's quite nice. It was quite nice.
Did you know English? I mean, were you fluent when you went to Cornell, no. Or you have to pick up later?
I could learn English. That's also a very funny story. I mean, in Portugal at the time when you are in high school, you learn French. That was, English was kind of rare, so no one picked up English. It was French, was the language to learn. So I took as optional as a second language, I learned French. When I arrived to university in Lisbon, also the first week, we have a professor. I even remember him very well, Professor Sernadas, who tell us, like, if you don't speak English, you can, you just can go away from the university. It was not very polite. So now you cannot say these things at the university. I said, if you don't know English, just leave, because you will never finish your degree. I was like very scared. I said, like, wait, I don't know any English, right? So I called my mom and say, oh, I think I need some English classes. Most of the people were to the British schools, but I have family in the United States, and I already would like to go to the United States, so I went to the American school. And it turned out the American school, I learned English like the kids learn. So you learn first how to speak, and then you learn the grammar. So it's a much easier way to learn. I remember the professor say, oh, so if you go to a restaurant, how can you order food? So we practice these kinds of things, which is by repeating the sounds. So the English classes were very funny. Were very, very funny. for me, because we have people from many areas, from law, from other areas, different people. And since it was like practice a lot of English, I find it very, very funny to go. So I started learning English my first year of university. And then, of course, when I went to Cornell, this was like 5 years later, I already could, in Portugal, also another interesting things, which is different from Spain, is that a lot of books are in English.
Oh.
A lot of books are in English. So we have to study in English. So I think I have 2 Portuguese books along my career that I have only calculus. I remember calculus and one more, I don't know, algebra, but all the other books I have to study were in English. So you get quite good knowledge of the technical English, right?
Right.
So when I went to the United States, maybe I need more practice to speak, but then you learn that quite fast.
Right. So regarding your time in Cornell, just out of curiosity, did you have the chance to meet Carl Sagan? I assume it's early 90s, right? Late 80s, early 90s or something like that?
He was the most famous professor in Cornell. In reality, in Cornell, there was two courses were like the more demanding courses. One is the Carl Sagan course. It's the course in a huge room, like in a stadium already. And it was the wine tasting course. So the 2 courses that were more difficult, I've never gotten in any of the, because the Carl Sagan courses was the undergrads have priority because they will do it for credit, and the graduate students like me, we could not get credit out of this. So I imagine that I'm doing wine tasting and get credit out of this. So I never have the opportunity. I did sneak a little bit one day in the room to try to see him. But unfortunately, the graduate students were like the last priority, and this was the most demanding one, like the wine tasting. I did one course not for credit, of course. It was ski, so we could do some sports. So I did ski course in my graduate program. Of course, I didn't get any credit for graduating, but it was very funny because there was quite few ski sites very close to Cornell. One was called the Greek Peak because there was a lot of Greeks around, and we did ski. I did ski, but unfortunately, I could not did the Carlos Sagan course, which is one of the most famous one. It was really amazing.
That is wonderful. Like taking a ski class in Cornell, it's rather unexpected. So, are you into sports, by the way?
Yes, I mean I like very much sports, all kinds of sports. I like to watch them. I like to watch soccer too. But I play tennis. I've been playing tennis since I was very young. Since I was almost I don't remember 10 years old maybe. There was a club in my small hometown where we spent time playing that. I win some tournaments with that, but I was not good enough to be national. Okay.
Fantastic.
So I still play 2-3 times a day now, and I'm the one who wakes up like really early in the morning to see some games when they play in Australia, or stay late at night when they play in the United States. So I really like tennis. It's my favorite one, but I also like to see basketball or soccer
That's amazing.
And my dream was filled. I have this dream to see the 4 Grand Slams. I went to the US Open when I was in Cornell. Like my last year in Cornell, I went to US Open. I went to Wimbledon in around 2005. Yes, I went to Wimbledon. And then I went to Roland Garros, I think 2009 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And last year I complete my dream. I went to Australia Open in 2019. So I've seen the 4 Grand Slams. I've been in the 4 of them. So that's something I always wanted to do, and I was able to do it.
That's wonderful, very impressive. So you got the chance to see, I assume, Pete Sampras when you were there in Cornell, and all those guys, and then maybe when when you went to Wimbledon, Federer, Nadal, I think they're already
yeah,
on their
I've seen
peak, probably.
the semi-final of Federer Nadal, but I didn't went to the stadium because getting to enter to the stadium is very expensive. So I went there. I just have this pass to go on the grounds, the ground pass, so you can go on the grounds. And I've seen, so if you remember, Wimbledon has this grass where people sit to see the screen.
Yes.
So I was one of the person who was sitting in the grass. And I remember I went with all my family, my husband and my daughter and my son. My son was very small. There is a picture on my webpage if someone wants to see it. My son was very small. And when I enter with this small kid in a stroller, they said, "Oh, so you cannot go on the stairs because you are a VIP, so you have to go and enter on the nice door." I said, "I feel very important there," and I do remember that you always see these Wimbledon people drinking champagne and strawberries. So I remember I went there. I said, "Oh, so we're in Wimbledon. Let's go and drink champagne and strawberries." I remember to ask the price of the champagne and strawberries, and they say, "Oh, okay, so I think I'm going to get an ice cream."
Yeah.
But it's a very beautiful. For me, it's one of the most nicest one. I mean, I didn't see the new one in the U.S. Open. I wanted to go last year in 2020, but unfortunately we could not go. So, but the Wimbledon has like some, the elegance. It's really amazing.
But Helena, I'm very impressed. You traveled to UK, France, Australia, and where else?
Wow, many countries. The other day I counted with my son, so I have 51 countries. So I traveled to 51 countries, and my son who's 16, he has 20 countries, so he has more countries than years. We always travel a lot. I went to Brazil. My only time to Brazil, my daughter was 3 months old. I went to the Metaheuristics conference, so I went with my 3 months old girl. And I love to travel. I mean, I love to see the people, to see the countrysides, to really taste new food. So I've been all over. So I've been in Africa, I've been in Asia. In South America, I've been in Brazil, in Argentina. In Central America, I've been in Panama, in Costa Rica, Canada, of course, and then, of course, Europe. So I've been for several countries in Europe. And then in Africa, for me, Africa is really special. I've been in quite a few countries. I've been in Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, Kenya. And then I've been to Santo Tomé and Príncipe, with these two small islands. And this is. They
speak Portuguese, right? There?
Yes, they used to be Portuguese. Yeah, they speak Portuguese there. So Santo Tomé and Príncipe was beautiful ones. Of course, I've been in Seychelles. So the family really loves to travel, and we always travel with our kids since they were small, and it's amazing what they can learn. They can learn and respect other cultures, other people. So it's really, for us, it's really important.
Absolutely, you definitely have a very interesting life, and your as well as your family in general. That's awesome. But coming back to Cornell, I forgot to ask you actually before that. What did you do in your master's, the research?
Well, in my master I did scheduling. I did like a simple application to scheduling. In reality, when I finished my degree, I work in Portugal telecommunications company. I did some location and some routing from them, but there was some scheduling too. So I did scheduling in my master's thesis, and then, of course, I finished my PhD also in scheduling. So I start like in the master's when I start like a very small applications to scheduling. To be honest, I don't remember very much about the thesis, but I did some scheduling. Yeah, I did some scheduling.
Okay, do you remember if it was just models, or did you have to implement heuristics? Did it require a lot of coding?
No, I didn't implement an heuristic. I did modeling, and I solved them. I solved them with Cplex. At the time, there was already Cplex. I solved them with Cplex. And then then I continue on scheduling. What I did some heuristics then on the PhD, because some problems were very difficult. I always get interested in real problems, so the real problems of scheduling are quite difficult to solve even with good computers. So I start thinking about that we should go on heuristics when doing my PhD in reality. I also did some kind of computational proof, like a proof that the problem is NP complete. I remember that very well because my advisor, David Chimois, keeps saying that you should get like an algorithm that solves this optimally in polynomial time. And I was like, I was desperate that I could not find any algorithm. So I started to think that I was not smart enough to do a PhD. This kind of things I think all of us have when we do the PhD. So there's all these smart people. I'm not smart enough, and I could never finish this. Until I say, okay, come on, Helena. Maybe it cannot be solved in polynomial time. I remember to say this to my advisor and say, oh, I don't know. It was a one machine scheduling problem with the due dates and release time, so it should be simple to solve. And I remember then I did prove that it was NP complete. So that was kind of breakthrough on my confidence to finish the PhD, right? So for young people, if they listen, we have a lot of questions about when we can finish everyone. So in Cornell, there was this T-shirt say, "Don't ask me about my PhD," because you have questions. But then if you work hard, I think you can do it. And I remember there was a breakthrough that I could prove. So I even have one of these proofs in my PhD thesis, I think.
Great. Did you have the chance to continue working on scheduling because you came up with the idea, or your advisor proposed that topic to you?
Well, I think it did propose this topic to me, but since I didn't have worked something on my master's thesis in Portugal, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, both of us we like it. Some other advisors were more on the integer linear programming, so like Professor Bland and others, and I didn't like it very much. I was more in combinatorial optimization. I think my mind is a more combinatorial optimization type of person, right? That a lot of combinations you have to select the best. So there was kind of I think he proposed to me, and I thought it was good. So I started working on job shop scheduling, and that was a little bit the topic that I choose for the PhD.
I see. And it was when your advisor gave you the one paper that changed your life, right?
Yes. So one day, David Schmois came to me and said, "Look at this paper and tell me what you think about it." He used to do that a lot, so it was quite nice. And sometimes I have a lot of papers, and I looked at this paper, was by Olivier Martin, called Large Step Markov Chains for the Traveling Salesman Problem. And I thought the idea was fabulous. I thought the idea was really amazing because it was a very simple algorithm, very elegant, and by the time, because the results were pretty good. So it was based in Lynn Carnegie, heuristics, and local search. But I thought that was very, very nice. And I said, oh, can I apply this to job shop scheduling and try to think about ideas to this? So can you apply that? And David said, okay, go ahead and test it. And so that I did implement that heuristics. So that's my first implementation of what is called now Iterated Local Search. But that time it was called Large Step Markov Chains. I mean, there was the idea of Olivier was a little bit to extend the idea of Lynn Carnegie and simulating annealing. That was kind of mixed up. And the results, of course, were very good. The results are very good. And even I went one step further, which is what for this large step, I thought, okay, so this large step, you could use optimization. You can use like exact method. So I think about the job shop scheduling problem. If you relax the constraints, the capacity constraints and the overlapping in all the machines except one, you have a one machine scheduling problem. So I thought that this large step could be optimizing to exact this one machine scheduling problem. Okay, so this machine is perfect, but the others are a disaster. And then the local search we cover for the other ones. that was my great idea. And in reality, I think this is the first Metaheuristics. I don't want to put but I don't know if there is one before that, because I'm talking this is here 92, 91 probably. So a long time ago. So I came out, and of course, then when you solve the one machine scheduling problem in exact with the branch and bound, it will take a long time. So I have two versions of this algorithm. One when I solve it with the exact method, one when I apply an heuristic, a simple heuristic to solve it. And this gives very good results. And I think this was, also this is in my thesis, and I think it was quite amazing. So I really get impressed by this paper, and I keep working on that paper for a long time. And in reality, I did the work, as you know, with Olivier Martin and then with Thomas Stützle, but I never met Olivier. I never met him personally. Which one time he was here in Barcelona, but I was in vacations. I was not here, so it's really a funny story. And later on, just after I finished my PhD, I realized that in scheduling there is a lot of local optimals. So the local search will finish very fast with a very bad local optimal. So I met Fred Glover in the first Metaheuristics conference in Colorado, in Breckenridge. And I thought, okay, so this taboo search is really interesting. You can jump off the local optimals and keep looking. So why I don't put a taboo search instead of a local search in this iterated local search? I mean, because that we could improve. And this paper is published. And of course, I got much better results. So, and this is probably this is an hybrid Metaheuristics. I think I'm not very good in naming the thing. So, but this was an hybrid Metaheuristics, right? So it's really a interesting story. How a paper can change the life of a people. So all the young people read all the papers, because some papers can change your future.
Yeah, I think this can be referred to as iterated taboo search, right? When you combine both. Some people refer to that. So your PhD was implementing heuristics for a job shop scheduling problem. You mean the classical variant, or modified, more realistic, or some other type of variant?
No, it was the classical one, and basically like what I work is this and this, and then I have a branch and bound, so that's why I needed to solve this one machine scheduling. Then I could not solve it. I have to put that identity complete. It's a more theoretical one.
I see. So you had theoretical contributions as well as heuristics, and possibly one of the first math heuristics as well. All are contained in your PhD thesis, right?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
I see. So you finished your PhD. Was it about 1993 or something?
Yes, 93.
And you went back to Portugal straight away?
Yes. Yes, I have a scholarship from Portugal. So I have a scholarship to Portugal. So in a way, there was like an agreement that you come back to teach at university. So you come back to teach at university. So I went back to Portugal, and that's what more or less what I wanted. I mean, I have very good memories. I have very good, I also sometimes I call my school the University of Lisbon. Everyone there, it's very nice. I have a very nice memories from them and relationship or respect. So it was a very nice place to come back. The problem is that I met my husband, I met this person from Spain in Cornell. So my husband was doing the master there in applied economics, and of course we get in love, and then I say, okay, so what we're gonna do? I mean, I have to return to Portugal. At least I have to, there was the agreement. And my husband was from Spain. So for a long time we were commuting. So he was in Spain, I was in Portugal, and we tried to decide if you go to Portugal or if you go to Spain. I asked for 1 year permission. I came to Barcelona to work in a consulting company. So I worked in a consulting company for 1 year. There was a very nice experience. I mean, I think I learned a lot. But I knew that after 1 year, I wanted to go back to research. And I think it's really important. I even think that every professor should work 1 year at least in a private company. And then I got the opportunity to enter the Universitat Pompeu Fabra. It was a relatively new university here. They at that moment, they didn't have engineer school. They only have economics and economic management school. So I did apply, and they have this, Universitat Pompeu Fabra is this system, like American system, that you have like, you have to, this recruiting system is exactly the same. You send your curriculum, your papers, and you pass, you get interviews, and then you get an offer, like a 10-year track. So that's the way so finally I have to say, okay, sorry guys, but you know, we cannot keep commuting for the rest of our lives, so I have to make a decision. And they were very nice. I mean, I'm still, you know, in contact with them, and I was there 3 years, and then I come back, and then I moved to Barcelona.
I see.
It was 97.
Right. So that's when you joined the university that you currently work in?
Yes, that's exactly when I joined. So I entered as a tenure track position. Then I got tenure, I don't know where, and you know, like a normal career in the university. That's why, and that's why I'm in economics and management department, because now we have engineer department. But at the time, the university was relatively small, relatively new. We don't have engineer department.
How did you manage to do research back then?
It was very difficult. It still is very difficult because we don't have PhD students. So our PhD students come with a background, which I did have some, but they were really exceptional people because they have to learn how to do programming, they have to do all operation research. So they come with a management degree or economic degree. So it was kind of difficult. And I remember that the first years I have to do some research in management, which I don't regret. I learned a lot, but I remember I did some like management type papers, but it was kind of difficult. And by that time, you know, I have to teach in Spanish, which my Spanish is good, but not perfect. But the university, it's quite nice because all the meetings, all the professors, they speak in English. And now we have more and more English classes, so now I have to teach in English. But for research, it's complicated because you don't have like many PhD students. And you know, we do research with our PhD students now. We do research with PhD students. But I realize also the economics, they don't do much research with their PhD students. So they mostly do research alone. So that's a different thing. And sometimes it's also difficult because they don't understand what we do. So, but this has happened everywhere. So it's like you just keep working, and that's it. But it's true that for doing computing and Metaheuristics implementations is quite hard.
I see. Since we're approaching the late 90s and early 2000s, I would like very much if you could tell the story of the book chapter that you wrote on in partnership with 2 other authors. So how did that happen? And also, I think it's a very important opportunity to clarify the origins and who takes the credit for the ILS Metaheuristic.
Yeah, so as I said, you know, that my first contact with what is known now at LIS was with this paper from the large set Microsoft chain for traveling salesman problem from Olivier Martin, and he's a fighter, I think, but it was mostly the work of Olivier. And then I keep working on that. And then on the Metaheuristics in Angra dos Reis, in reality in Brazil, organized by Celso Ribeiro, I present a work. I went there exactly when my daughter was 3 months old. So everyone knew my daughter from the area. So everyone asked her. I went there and I met Thomas Stützle. And Thomas Stützle, he also had some, I think he has a paper in 98 or 97 on scheduling, applying like this type of technique to of course we get interested, we talk, he's a very nice person, we get friends. So we thought that we should write some like more theoretical paper saying like, okay, setting up the basis of this Metaheuristics, right? So we really explain that. Of course, we thought that Olivier should be on the paper. So Olivier so Olivier deserves to be on the paper because in reality what. And then there was a lot of names. I think in one presentation I collected at least 10 names from the same technique that I don't even remember some of them. But and then I think Thomas was the one who used iterated local search, and we like it. We think it was simple. It was really explained what we are doing. So after that, we decided the title should be iterated local search, and we write the paper. The three of us. I remember Thomas, since he has he did a lot of work with the collaboration of Olivier and myself. So, but in reality, it's like Olivier was like the one who started, and I think I did something, and then independent for Thomas, because I didn't know Thomas' work, and Thomas didn't know my work until the Metaheuristics in Rio, and so the contribution of all of us, I think it's important. And then there was several versions later on that in some of them Thomas had to write more because I was not, I was sick by the time, and but we keep liking that iteration. So that's the story of the famous chapter. We did write a first version of the Metaheuristics in Oporto. There's like a first version, very simple first version of the Metaheuristics that was organized in Oporto. I don't remember, even 2002 could be, or something like that.
And then you guys got invited to write a book chapter after that?
I think, yeah, I don't know if it was an invitation, to be honest, because it was Thomas who contacted me. We talked like in Rio that we should write something, and then they said, well, there's this opportunity to go for the book chapter, so let's go for the book chapter. And then, of course, we all agreed that Olivier should be also an author of the article, because Thomas had read the same paper as me from Olivier, so that was the origin of the. In reality, there is an old paper which they have a similar thing, like from Kernighan, which there is a similar thing, but like the one who the paper that started this actual work, it was the one from Olivier Martin. I have this paper in my office. I still have this paper in my office. I changed office, I think, 2 years ago. So when you go promoted, then you can ask for a good office. I mean, the office was very similar to the other. So, but I want to say, okay, so I'm going to move. So in this way, I clean all the mess in my office. So I throw away all the papers that I have in paper, because we don't read in paper anymore. So I have lots of boxes in paper. I say, no, if I throw a lot of them away, I recycle them, I must say. But I keep some papers who have like a sentimental, they were important for me. So I have a box of all these papers. This one from Olivier Martin was a preprint. In reality, it's a preprint. I have one from Fred Glover. So I have a couple, one from Kamaran. So I have a couple of them that I keep them. That I think this will be nice for to keep in paper, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
but others that there must be nice papers, but now you can get them online.
Right. So that work from Olivier Martin is the seminal work on ILS from 1991.
Yes.
And then it became popularized through the book chapters.
Yeah.
Because there were more than one editions of the handbook, right? So.
Yes, there's the last one is 2019.
Yeah.
So the last one is 2019. That.
Yeah.
And Thomas have done a very good work on actualizing this view, as you know.
I see.
So,
yeah, you once told me that you submitted a paper with where you use ILS, and the reviewer told that you were not using that was not an ILS.
I mean, I don't know. I sometimes now I'm becoming more critical with the referees, because I think sometimes they don't really contribute to the knowledge. So I have comments that say, I mean, I don't mind that the referees say, oh, this is not good, or this is not correct, or should improve this. I always try to be nice, because I know there's a person behind the paper. And of course, if you have to say that this paper is not of good quality, you have to say it, but you have to say it politely, I think. It's my opinion. But I have this referee that reject one of my papers and say this is not ILS. I said like, just okay, give me reasons. I mean, I don't care what name you want me to give to the algorithm. I don't care about the name of the algorithm. The name of the algorithm is not science. It's just like so we can identify what type of work we're doing. But if we get good results, if we, it's really, we'll get better results than it is in the state of the art. I don't think you should reject the paper just because you think that it's not a ELS. You just like tell me what name, if you want to call it Pepe, Maria, Elena. I can call them whatever you want. But I think unfortunately we are going in some directions that sometimes I did have some. I do collect them. I do keep them. So maybe one day I will write an article about this. I have even a personal comment in one of the referees. Which I wrote to the editor and they say the editor this comment should not be admitted. I mean, it should not be admitted. He answered me that the referee who is a well-reputed researcher, I don't care if it's a well-reputed person. This is attacking me personally, so it's not. And this time it was really fun. And we laughed a lot, saying that. That is saying that it was not a ELES. I don't know what it's not an iterated local search. You say, okay, I think I have some knowledge about it. I mean, I think I have some knowledge, but if you want, I can call it anything. If you accept me with the paper, I can call it anything. So I'm a little bit critical of this profilation. Like you have to publish. I mean, that's not. Especially for young people, don't give them time to really get to the deep of the knowledge. Okay? So you pressure so much the young people to publish that they will publish anything without really going deep and to the understanding. And some of these papers, and you see the citations, there's papers that were cited by 2 people, even my papers. I have papers that were cited by 2 people, so I'm including in that. What does it mean? And do you know if they're saying good things on these 2 citations, or they're saying they are really bad? Because the citation could be to say it's a really bad paper too. So I think we should have to rethink a little bit all this pressure to publish.
Yes, and I'm a big fan of ILS. Many people know that. I like that because it's very elegant and simple. And I got some criticism sometimes about one particular algorithm we developed. They say the algorithm is too simple, so it's not worthy of being published. And I also had some other colleagues that had the same experience on this paper must not be published. Even we get desk rejection at times because it's too simple, but it works and it leads to promising results, but yet it's not very complicated. Do you think that some people from our field they like complicated stuff, or they sometimes make it complicated on purpose to look fancy and get their work accepted?
Yes, I think unfortunately I think the LES has these characteristics. It's simple. It's simple to explain if you go to a business. What is your solution? It's elegant, and it works. I mean, if it was simple, it didn't work. Okay, we have a question here, but it does work, and there's thousands of publications that work, and that's what we should care about. Is this provides solution? It provides some knowledge to these people, some leverage, some insight. So it works. So it's really sad to see that you need to have like a sophisticated thing, which probably no one can understand. Something that you cannot replicate it, because science should be able to be replicated. That's the fundamental of science, and get rejected because it's too simple. I mean, so what do you want me? I want you to complicate things, and unfortunately, for some of us who are like seniors, we don't really care about that. But for young people, this is giving a message. This is giving a message that they should not have like simple things that work. And I think the LES, the advantage of this is really this simplicity and this relationship between the large step and the small step. So the really key way to implement a LES is having this relationship. So the large step should not be, should drive you to a new area of the region of the solutions that the local search could not get there. So, and this is really, I think this is interesting. But unfortunately, I remember I have one of these papers that we work with one of the best companies here in Spain, is a food company. So this is called like the Inditex of the area of the food. Every business is looking what this company is doing. We have this data. We solve this problem. We really save a lot of money. There was a vehicle routing very complicated with heterogeneous, with lots of things, 3 temperatures. It was a very complicated one. And we save a lot of money. And then when we sent to publish, they said, "Oh, you have to test this with a toy problem." I said, "Are you joking with me? Are you I mean, so because we don't know if this algorithm is the best on vehicle routing, so you have to test." So that's the toy problem. I know maybe some people don't like to do this, but I really think I have to say it. I'm not anymore in the kindergarten. We have to play in reality. We cannot keep playing on the kindergarten with these toy problems. The toy problems are very useful to understand what components of the metaheuristics are interesting. What parts, and even to test new metaheuristics, to test it. But after a certain time, we have to be able to solve real problems. And that's a question that no one could answer me. Are you sure that the metaheuristic that works well with toy problems works well in reality? Can you prove this to me? Is there any research on doing this? I've never done it because I need 10 PhD students in computer science to do this. But why do you assume that if the metaheuristic is good on the toy problems that I've been playing for 20 years, some of these problems are more than 20 years old, or even more. I do remember one of my colleagues, Daniel Serra, my best friend, my really good friend of UPF. So he has this Mudd and Thompson book where they appear the first time, the 10 by 10 famous job shop scheduling problem. So he has this book, and one time I look at the book, and this book is for, I don't know, from the 60s, from the 70s. So are we still playing with toy problems from the past and not really solving real problems? So at that time I said, okay, I do. So there was a young person on the paper, so I said, okay, so play the game, put the algorithm with these toy problems. We have to simplify a lot of things because, of course, no toy problems and all these complications from real life, right? For example, complication. They could not drive on highways where you have to pay. So they have to. So if there is so here in Spain we have highways that you pay and highways you don't pay. So if you go to a point A to B, if there is a highway that you don't pay, the truck must go there and not go on the ones you pay because it's very expensive. So we have to simplify to then prove that our algorithm works better than for the toy problems and the paper got published. But I always ask, is this science, or is this really, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question for our colleagues.
You think that some people from our own community are preventing nice practical work to be published just because they don't address the classical instances or the basic version of that practical problem?
I don't know. I think it's the ones I know, the people that I know. I think if I ask them to solve a real problem, they could never provide a solution, because you have to solve a real problem in 2 months, in 3 months. So it's a kind of easier in a way to. I don't know, easier is the right word, but it's more safe to work with these theoretical things and go and solve real problems, like someone we are working now, we're working on the home health care, and social care. So to do the routing for people that go home to treat like patients and all, especially elderly. We have a lot of issues because we have several ways to arrive there. So you can go in bus, can go walking, can go in car, can go in motorcycle, can go in bicycle. So the problems are much more complicated. And I think OR is a great area that could make a huge contribution to the society. And we are not motivating the young people to do that. We are not motivated. And I think that's why we are losing a little bit of recognition from the society. And recognition means money. Money means PhD students and position for professors. So we should rethink as a society to think. But every time I say that, I don't no one really pays attention. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I think we should pay a lot of attention to solve real problems, and really the journals should, there's some journals who move in this direction to really, even the algorithm is very simple, even the model is very simple. If you could prove that you have a contribution to the society or to a company, you should be published and you should get publicity. I think little by little we are going in this direction, but I think we are losing a lot of possibilities, opportunities to other areas that move to this one. And for example, I'm surrounded by marketing people. Maybe they are marketing, so they are good at. Sometimes what they do, it's so simple, but they prove that they have an impact on the society, and that's it. So I think we should do good science. The science should be of high quality, but we should also not like this version of this, I call this marathon papers, and I wrote them, so my fault too. So to write, oh, okay, I'm going to scratch a few seconds on the Anand paper so I can prove that I'm better than Anand. And then I said, what is really the contribution for this? Or writing papers like in Metaheuristics, say, what are the components that really make a breakthrough, really make a difference? Yeah. What is the local search, is the neighborhood, or is the starting solution, or is the taboo search or the iterated local search? What component is really that brings knowledge?
Yeah.
But the marathon papers, I really don't like it.
Yeah, I know you're very fond of practical problems, and you probably deal with companies, and as far as I'm aware, nowadays they're asking for artificial intelligence and machine learning based solutions, and we somehow do that when using heuristic search. There is some relationship there, but do you think you'll be losing a little bit of space, or even the society in general are getting more used to artificial intelligence and all those learning based methods, and OR is kind of becoming something, I won't say outdated, of course, but maybe losing the spotlight in some way?
Oh, definitely. We are losing the spotlight. I mean, every time to company, they ask me, do you do artificial intelligence? I say, yes, I do artificial intelligence. Do you do machine learning? Well, a kind of learning. And I don't say machine learning because I don't do machine learning per se. But, well, we can think about Metaheuristics as a learning process, right? In a way, like we can push that definition like to fit a lot. But we are really losing. We are losing a lot of the spotlight, and we're losing and this spotlight also appears on research money that comes from the European Union or from your country. So we are losing for courses. That courses are not like we don't have so much students because they don't know about this. So I think we're losing the spotlight because we are not proving how helpful we are to the society. How great! And if you look, the other day I was talking with a friend from machine learning, and I said, okay, if you see the algorithms that are really using in business, they are very simple. Okay, so they are quite simple and not using the most sophisticated one. So I think we're losing the spotlight. The other day I received this contest from Amazon with MIT, where they have these algorithms to do the routing, but then the drivers do something different. So they have this comparison because what they recommend to the driver and what the driver does, and they do want to design they are making a challenge to see who can really understand, have some learning to make the best routing. I think we have a lot of saying here, and when I go to companies, they really, after a while, they understand our contribution. We have done, so I have a PhD student, by the way, from Brazil, Marcelo Fabri, who did the PhD in Sandbox program here, and we did works for companies, and I think we have a saying. But then my question is that, okay, so I'm going to do this with a PhD student or a postdoc, but then he or she cannot publish. So it's really hard to convince some of young people to do things in these areas because it's very hard to publish. We have done a very nice work to locate schools in Mexico. So we did locate. So we have this huge database. So we have how old are the persons of the population, the ages of population, almost by building. Almost by building. It's not building because this is not legal, but we have very so and there was a population that the population had grown more than 1,000% in the last 5 years.
Wow.
So they don't have schools. So we're working with someone from development economics that works in the World Bank, and we're trying to decide where is the best places for locating schools so the kids have to walk little. This is not a very complicated model. It's a location model. It's like a little bit a p-median with some is a location covering problem with some more constraints, but it's not a very sophisticated one. And we cannot publish. We have been rejected because we say, oh, you didn't take into account the criminality level in each region. They say, what do you think the World Bank does? It does it by intuition. Oh, here, or even I'm not going to go here. The politician does it sometimes in a different way.
Yeah.
So we could help the World Bank to locate schools, and now the person I work with is very disappointed. So what can we do to change this? Can we do we really want to be relevant for the society or not? That's a really important question. I leave special. So I think we should go and do more because that's in reality we're not this I'm not saying anything that was the origins of operation research, right?
Exactly.
The original operation research was solving real problems, right? So I'm not discovering anything new in reality.
It is something that we can find a balance and maybe change our attitude. Maybe the editorial board of some journals, even the reviewers, they should get used to seeing the practical aspect and the practical relevance. Sometimes getting real life data is very difficult. And the fact that you show that some concept works in practice, it's very tough, but it sometimes is not intellectually very complicated or very challenging if you see just a theoretical part. And then some people may see that very simple is not really relevant work. So maybe there should be some rethinking or some reflection about that, I believe. Helena, you're a very kind person, yet you were a strong and very tough woman and very brave. I assume that at times it should have been hard having small kids. You mentioned that you attended a conference with a 3-month-old kid. And do you have any comments about how it is to be a woman in science, and you are, and what is your impression of the current situation regarding this matter?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I attended the conference, and my husband came with me, and he was the one to take care of my kid all day, so I could attend the conference. So it was basically surrounded by women, by the wife, and of course, he became a very good father. So he was an extraordinary father. So a lot of people even remember him. Well, he's a very good father. But the other day, I attend a conference in the MIT in Harvard. Sometimes they have these conferences that they are very nice, and sometimes I even put them my headphones and go walk, and I just listen, even I don't need to look. And there was this woman talking that a woman to go at the high positions in the business in the university, they only have 2 types. or they don't have a husband, or we have the highly supported husband. So they or no husband, or a very highly supported husband. So fortunately, I have a very high supported parent and a very high supported husband. But I'm very worried because the figures are going worse. So we're not getting better. We're getting worse. That's the numbers say. So here in Barcelona in computer science, there's a 5% woman. And this is very bad because, computer science and the STEM, what they call the STEM areas, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, is going to be the future. So I'm quite worried about that. And I'm quite worried about this topic. I've seen the talk that Maria Gracia Esperancia did on your conferences in Brazil, in your conference from Brazil, São Paulo, which I think, first of all, yeah, congratulate you, because I think it was very nice to have a conference like this. This type of things helps a lot. But she was saying, and some people think, oh, you can study university, you can go, there's no discrimination now. There is discrimination all the time. There is discrimination all the time. For example, I found this very interesting. They interrupt me much more when I'm talking in a meeting. They don't. This is the man interrupting. That's what I call it. I sometimes even start counting, and that's happened. They never count with women to high positions that have like responsibility. They all, even at my university and other universities, it's like if there is a position where there is a lot of work, organization, you give it to the woman. But if there is a relevant position that has a lot of visibility, you give it to the man. So we should be, and that article in Harvard is saying you should be conscious about this, about that sometimes even nice people, nice men, my nice colleagues, they're not like, I don't like women, no, are nice people. They don't have this perception that women can be powerful, that women can, so this is what they say, this is if a woman express their opinions very strongly, she's a bitch. If it's a man, it's a leader. Yeah. So there are studies about this. So it's not what I say. There's studies about this. So I'm very worried about that. We're not getting better. We are getting worse. Or like the other day, I was discussing with one of my colleagues, and they said, "Oh, but my PhD student is a woman." And it's, but
so what?
She can finish the PhD, but can she get to full professor?
Mm-hmm.
Do you really think can she get to full professor? So it's not easy. And I said I could do it with my two kids. I have two kids. My mom is not here. I don't have mother-in-law. So I was basically alone because my husband was a highly supported husband. But do women have to choose between these two when men can have all range of in the middle, right? So I'm very worried. So I'm participating in this mentoring. I'm a mentoring call from the company Everest called Pulsar, Programa Pulsar. It does exist in Brazil too. So if the women are to help young women from high school to study STEM and especially to go to university and also to study STEM, and with an association of women in engineering, technology and research, we are also starting a mentoring program. Because so they be aware, but I think here it's a work of everyone. It's a work of everyone that really think when you have to give a high position or have to promote someone, you think that you don't think about gender or color or anything. Just think about the profession, and it has been really tough. Sometimes I think Maria Gracia said this on the talk. It's like, sometimes women, when they get to the power, they say, I don't want to sound like, you have been discriminated because you arrived to the top, right?
Mm.
But you have to say it so the young women see that that's not what is expected, that they deserve better. They cannot just accept that the man gets promoted and she does not get promoted. Okay, so this is important that we realize that even in small pieces, sometimes we get discriminated. For example, an example happens to me some time ago in my university. There was a full professor. This was before I was a full professor. Come to call me Helenita. So, in Portuguese, Helenita is like, I said, why does he call me Helenita? I mean, no one calls me Helenita. No one, not even my mom. I said, why does he call me that? And then reading the literature, I think this is a way to diminish you. So you are a kid, you are a girl. Even I was 40 something. So it's a way to not respect you as a professional. It's call you like you call a small kid. Oh no, Pedrito, Juanito. No, it's so and this is I don't want to be called Helenita in the university. I mean, you don't have to call me professor, but I don't want to be called me, like I was a small one. So these kind of things are. I'm becoming more and more conscious about this, and things that are not improving, even it looks like we are improving, we're not improving because the numbers are there. The numbers are there. This scissors graphic that we have a lot of students in the high school, then we have a lot of women in the university, and then at master they go more or less the same, 50-50. But then on full professors, it's like 75% or 80% or 85% man and 10% woman. And so this. I think we should have to change this. And to finish, it's like I even have one referee one time comment on this that I just have my kids and the referee say that he didn't think that work was done by me. He knew. I think I know where it is because he knew I had the kid, so you can imagine all this kinds of things, or things like, for example, I've seen this in a promotion that there was a paper from a woman and a man. They were a couple. They work together, so they have some papers. And she went for tenure. He was already tenure, and she went for tenure. And the discussion that we don't think that she did the papers because it was her husband who did the papers. And they said, "Why do you know this? Why do you know this?" So even my PhD students always say, "Never do a paper with your husband," because but it was like the assumption was that the husband did the papers, not. She did the paper.
Yeah.
Which is like, how can you know that? So I'm starting to be more and more conscious and worried and even fighter about. I mean, now I answer. I want to say you are discriminating, and they get very offended. I mean, because I understand, because I think my male colleagues they don't want to do it on purpose. It's like. But they end up doing it unconsciously. Even the last, it was 2 weeks ago, there was this meeting of all three professors, and there was this committee, a very important committee, and they say, "Oh, you should go, and there was no woman. So I'm in favor of positive discrimination.
Yeah, it's quite sad to hear some of the stories. I think some of the change should be done by men, and there is a huge path to go, right? There are many things that have to be changed, and I'm very supportive of this cause, of course. And it's at the same time, it's very. I'm glad to hear your statement and your words. Maybe it will inspire many young girls out there, right? So. Let's see if these numbers improve somewhere in the near future.
Yeah, I think because it's a great opportunity for everyone. It's a great profession, and it's nice to work in operation research, not to work in STEM. And women can make a huge contribution, and sometimes even a different point of view that it's important for the society, for all of us to get a better society.
Absolutely. Helena, it was a huge pleasure to have you here. I am very, very happy. I mean, I cited your work forever, like at least for 15 years. And it was super nice to hear all these stories. And I wish you all the best and in your work. And I hope we can collaborate maybe sometime in the future. And bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.